intro. So I guess I'll just introduce myself. Thank you very much for coming after lunch, right after lunch, to listen to me to talk about WebRTC and QR codes. Small intro, the name's Gorka. We might have met, if not, I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. I work at GatherTown. For all of your 2D remote office needs, go check that out. I do side experiments whenever I get some time until Felipe comes March of next year. So who knows how that's going to be, how that's going to turn out. In any case, quick show of hands, how many of you are familiar, high level, with the WebRTC connection flow? Awesome. Yeah, I would not expect different from all this crowd. All of you are familiar with it. So I will not go into detail on the whole thing, and then I'm just gonna share ideas on how to split data to share that over a sequence of QR codes. I'll try to do a live demo. Bunch of things need to work out. We'll see how that goes. And then I'll provide some takeaways from this whole experiment, and if there are any, leave some room for questions. All right, so high level. Peer 1 creates an offer. Magical way, we somehow make it so that Peer 2 has access to this offer. Based on that offer, Peer 2 creates an answer. Wave of a wand, Peer 1 receives the answer. Boom, we have a WebRTC connection. Usually, we instead of waving a wand or expect magic to happen, we use signaling servers, or a bunch of other mechanisms that we've been, fantastic talks have been explained earlier today. In a quick JavaScript way with a dependency called simple peer, we instance a peer when we call that peer the initiator, or we set the initiator flag true on that. Whenever it emits the signal event, we have the offer. We need somehow to make that offer available for the instance of peer 2. Whenever peer 2 receives that offer, then it emits its own signal event, which holds the answer. Again, somehow we make that answer available for peer 1, and then both peers emit a connect event, at which point in time they can start sending messages over the data connection. All right, let me focus on the somehow. I have this situation where I believe we give signaling servers too much power, so I just wanted to figure out if there were other ways to exchange that signaling data. Decided to give a try with QR codes. I started experimenting on this. Definitely, my method's not efficient. I actually met Vulcan yesterday, which found a way to pack the whole thing into one QR code instead of a sequence of QR codes. Very cool, same idea. A QR code can send a limited amount of data. If you have more data than it fits on one QR code, just split the data and then do a set interval whilst you're showing the whole sequence and loop through that. Because I'm looping, it doesn't really, for this proof of concept, doesn't really matter. I never cared about it being efficient, but the whole idea was that if I missed a chunk, I could always expect it to be shown again whilst I was reading on a loop. So, code version of this, we get whatever the data is, whether the offer or the answer. We serialize that. We split that based on the maximum amount of size that you want to share with each chunk, and then we encode that. In this case, using a dependency I found, and I added a couple of extra pieces of data to each chunk, the total number of segments, and then the index to know which segment you are passing on. On the other side of things, again, random dependency in order to read QR codes. Whenever data is read, what you do the whole process the other way around. You parse the data, and you now have access to the total number of QR codes that you should be reading. You aggregate the whole thing. When you know you have all of the segments, all you need to do is concatenate the whole thing and deserialize. All right. Let's see if it works. Both devices connected to the same network. One device has to act as the host, the other as the... All right, and then this is gonna be, this is gonna be fun, because now I have to go over there and read those QR codes. This is a real deal, people. All right, so I'm looping through the data, almost received all of the data. I've received all of the data on the second device, and in a minute, thank you very much for following. I'm gonna be sharing this data, and you should be seeing how the data is being received. Big dependency on a steady hand here. And there you go. Can I get a random word from the audience? Lunch? All right, sure, why not? There you go. All right, what was that? No, yeah, all right. That was it for the demo. Let me just go back to the presentation here. Yeah, I thought you would have been, all of you, more excited about the WebRTC connection being put together using QR code, but you know, to each their own. So yeah, in my case, this was very fun. I really enjoyed it. Again, not efficient, but maybe a fun way to share data between two devices. Somebody yesterday said that they had problems sending a picture to their mother because they had to explain HTTP and whatnot. How about just like sharing a couple of a loop sequence of QR codes? What other transport layers can be used? I'm already thinking on a next iteration where I use email messages and automations reading email messages. So, hey, I get a hold of somebody's email address, I send over my offer, they receive that, grab that, compute the answer, send it back, grab that, boom, without even considering any sort of discovery, I'm already connecting to another peer using SMTP. Why not? I'll be trying to put that in place. And the other thing, we've been learning all day of all of the amazing new ways to find and connect peers magically and the right way. Don't do QR codes in production. It's not efficient. Might work for you, but I highly recommend against it. So finally, everything I do, open source. PRs more than welcome. You saw the UI. That definitely needs some love. When I posted this on Hacker News, it received some good traction, which I loved. And then somebody shared that they had done a similar thing using audio, which I also found to be very cool. And so with that, I leave the room for questions. Thank you very much.
I was just going to ask, what kind of payload are you sending in the QR code? Like, is it just a hash of a key, or is it like a whole contract?
So in this case, like I'm using a dependency that offers some data. I'm not sure what it refers to. Maybe other dependencies encode different information. This is what this dependency exposes whenever you want to connect two peers. But whatever it is, as long as you base64 it and then serialize that, you can like split it into QR codes and send it over. You can do the same thing with any amount of data for whatever you want to share.
What changes were suggested yesterday to do this in one QR code? I don't imagine it was just packing more into a single QR code, otherwise you would have done that before.
Yeah, so the thing is, there are a bunch of different dependencies out there in order to encode information into a QR code. QR code, so what I did, I tried out a bunch of encoding and then readers. And based on the libraries I got a hold on and my experimentation trying to make this work, whilst also figuring out the right rate of looping through, I was able to use these two dependencies. This other person found another two dependencies, which made it easier to pack like the whole thing. Like the QR code wasn't, like you could see like a whole city in there.
I was about to propose that, do you compress the data before packing it into QR code?
Yeah, of course that makes sense. But yeah, proof of concept here.
Wait, I think I may have missed something. What was the significance of the word lunch?
It was to prove that there was an actual WebRTC connection and that this wasn't like just pre-recorded.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
What's the maximum data rate that you've found doing it across QR codes, and is it faster than the Wi-Fi here?
Good call out. I exchanged a couple of images. I wanted to, you really need a steady hand, or the whole thing has to be placed statically so that you do not have to wait for the whole loop to happen if it's a big amount of data. I don't have any benchmarks on what's the most things that but most probably as much data as you can hold in memory within what you're receiving. It could work out instead of using the Wi-Fi here, something that we could put in place. All right, thank you very much all.